Alright, this is Melissa with Web of Creativity. I'm showing you my new project. This one is called Cherished Memories 2. If you remember, the first one is a very large album. So the second one is a mini version with a little bit of changes. So you can tell the big difference here. So the big album is 9 by 11 and the small one is 7 3/4 by 9. So I just compacted it. So I'm going to move this guy out of the way. So this one doesn't do a fold out like the large one does. But I did keep the best part, which is the waterfall pocket page. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. So the first side on the left is just a regular waterfall page. So we have a waterfall pocket page, which is a waterfall, and then a pocket page. So we have 3 tags. Which will allow us some more picture spaces. And then the back side, we have our triple pockets here with our tags that open up to a large area. So we have 2 of these pages, here and here, and then the back area is just the waterfall pocket page. So that is our Cherished Memories 2. And the paper I used is I'd Rather Be Crafting by Echo Park, which is exactly how most of us feel, I'm sure. We'd rather be crafting. Alright, so this video goes through with how to make the entire album, how to make the pages, matting, and all that. And then the tutorial gives you all the dimensions, step-by-step guide and pictures to put it together. So for the tutorial is on my blog. The link is below, and then I have kits for this collection as well, and that's also on my blog. The links are below, and the blog is www.webofcreativity.net, and I have tabs at the top that says tutorial and kit/shop. So let's get started, and we're going to work on the cover first, then we're going to work on the pages, and then matting. Alright. We are going to work on the cover, but I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm a little under the weather, so if I start coughing, just bear with me. So we have several pieces for the cover. This was the back side, and we have our 2 spine pieces, and then our front cover that's in 2 pieces. And then we have our 2 papers that we're going to use to cover it. So at first we're going to need this is the smallest front piece, the back piece, and the spine piece, and I've already taped except for this piece. It has 1 strip missing. So I'm going to move this sheet out of the way. So this is our back piece. So when this gets attached, as you can see, it doesn't go all the way over, so we're going to add a piece of tape to this side. Except I'm using the till as my cover, so I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to attach my 2 pieces first, and then this one last, but I'm going to add my piece of tape. And my piece of tape is going to be short, about 3/4 inches from the top and bottom. I'm just going to measure where I'm going to start. Okay, so our first piece is going to be attached with a 3/4 inch overhang. So I'm removing my tape backing. I'm going to measure my 3/4 inch. So it's 3/4 inch from the bottom, top, and edge. I'm going to get my spacer, and a spacer is 2 pieces of chipboard. You can attach them if you want. I just leave them loose. So you'll put your spacer flush to your piece, and then you will attach your next piece so it lines up at the top and the bottom, and this gives us our space for when we're folding our piece so that paper folds. If you don't have that space in there, then your paper will stretch and tear. So you need a good amount of space so it doesn't do that. That's my ruler. Alright, so I'm going to place my spacer, hold it steady. And there we go. So the next piece is our back piece. So, of course, the piece that doesn't have the tape is going to go on the left side where the tape is. And then we're going to use our spacer again. And we're going to line up at the top and bottom evenly, so it's even. There we go. I'm going to just run my bone folder over it. Okay, so that's one side, and then we're going to work on our the other side. So our other side is our left side of our front cover, our spine, and then it's going to get attached to the back side here. What I want to do, however, is punch this side just to give it a little something on the back. You don't have to, you can keep it straight, but I'm going to just go ahead and do a little punch. This is a scallop punch, EK Success Punch, but any punch will do. So I'm going to punch this piece. Which may jump my camera around a little. Yep. Alright, I finished punching the edge, and then I inked it a little bit. So the ink that I'm using for all of my mats, it's actually an oxide ink. It's Vintage Photo, but the oxide edition. Vintage Photo happens to be one of my favorites. I decided just to try out the oxide look, and I like it. I do like it. So for the front piece, I have this guy and then the spine guy, and I forgot to add my tape to it, so I'm going to do that real quick. Alright, so I have them all taped. Now, the punched edge is going to go on the back side of this guy. So make sure that we attach the front side. I'm going to be, it's going to be upside down because it gets attached this. But this is non-directional paper, so if you have directional paper, make sure that you punch the correct edge and that your paper is not upside down. So like the back side that we just did, it's going to be 3/4 an inch on the side and the top and bottom. Nope. I'm just removing the tape backing. So, yeah. I'm about to attach it at the wrong measurement. Alright, 3/4 inch. 3/4 from the bottom, 3/4 from the top. Now, of course, you can do a 1/2 inch. I like 3/4, but it's whichever way you prefer. Alright, so the next piece is our spine, our second spine piece, or our side piece. I'm calling it a spine piece, so we're going to use our spacer. And make sure it's even at the top and bottom. There we go. Alright, so we're going to need to add some tape to attach the two pieces. I'm going to double check. Yep. I'm going to add my tape. Now, if I didn't have a punched edge, I would have the tape flush to the paper. Because this is punched, I don't have the tape on the punch. You can add glue to it if you want. And then this guy is going to get taped. I'm going to tape the little bit of chipboard that's sticking out. And I'm going to add my tape to the paper so it covers that full edge. And then I'm going to check to see how much more tape I need. So it's going to take into consideration the spacer. So we only need about maybe a 1/2 inch piece of tape on the top and bottom to make sure everything is attached. Okay, so then once the tape's removed, we'll add our spacer to it, and then make sure the chipboard is lined up. If the paper is not lined up, that's okay because it gets wrapped around. We need to make sure this chipboard is lined up top to bottom. Alright, I'm going to get my spacer ready. I can do this one-handed. Alright, so again, we want to make sure the top and bottom of the chipboard is lined up evenly. There we go. doesn't that look good? All right. Then we're going to wrap our edges. We're going to take our 3/4, not our 3/4, our 3/8 inch tape, or if you have a 1/2 inch tape, we're going to go around the edge, flush to the edge of the chipboard, and we're going to jump over the spacing in between the chipboards. Next, we are going to trim the corners. So I'm going to get my craft mat out and my ruler. So we're going to go with 1/8 inch from the corner of the chipboard, and on the Tim Holtz ruler, I'll zoom in so you can see it a little better. On the Tim Holtz ruler, there is, the first dotted line is 1/8 of an inch. The solid line is 1/4. So you go from the tip of the chipboard to the 1/8 inch line. You're going to angle it. I'm going to use my Martha Stewart craft knife. It's extremely dirty. I use it a lot. I'm just going to cut it at an angle. And there we go. So then we have a little bit of space, and we're going to tuck in the corners after we get them all cut. So I'm not a terrible perfectionist when it comes to trimming the corners. If my angle's off, I'm not worried about it as long as it does what I need it to do, which is fold over. Alright, next we're going to take our bone folder or scorer. If you have a scorer with, well, you want your scorer, but a bone folder and a scorer can be the same thing with a tip. Instead of putting this on a scoreboard, we're just going to lightly score it with the tip. This helps, I think it helps with folding the paper over more easier. So I just lightly press down. I probably do it more than lightly, and when I go over, I skip this section, of course. So I do let up a little bit because your bone folder tends to go in it. So I just, go over a little bit where the paper overlays. So I go over that just a little bit more. Okay. I do have another bone folder with a flat edge, or you can use your fingers, but we're only going to fold over the two short sides first. So just lightly fold it, and what I like about this is I just run it against the edge, and then I can fold it over. So we're going to go ahead and fold over this one side, and then we're going to do the other short side. We're going to do that first, tuck in the corners, and then do the long side. Then I'm going to run over it again. I'm not pushing awfully hard on it, just making that flat. So I am removing the tape from the corners and just folding them a little bit so it shows the sticky part for when folding over. Again, I'm going against it lightly, or you can, you know, you can use your fingers. All right, so we got the two sides down, and then we're going to tuck in the corner. So you can take your fingernail or your bone folder, and you see the corner, and we're going to just push it in. Still not there. So I'm going to push it in. So sometimes if you cut your paper too long, you can still push it in. If you cut it too short, you have nothing to push in, and sometimes expose that corner. So you're just going to go ahead and do that with the remaining corners. And then we can fold over the other two sides. So the longer side is just a little more difficult to fold over. I really like doing running the bone folder against the edge. Sometimes if you don't do that, I find you might get a bubble when folding. And sometimes when I do this, you still might get a bubble. So right now I'm just using my fingers. I'm going to go back. When you use your bone folder against this edge, you skip this spacings right here between the chipboards. You don't want to use it because you'll press it in the paper and you might rip the paper. So just be careful. Go slow. Skip the areas that need to be skipped. You can tell resistance with when the paper is doubled. And then I'm going to fold the middle first. And I'm running my bone folder over, again skipping those areas between the chipboards because I do not want that paper to get ripped. Alright, I'm doing the next side. Okay. Now we're all folded. Next we are going to work on placing the closure on the front cover. So when folding your cover, make sure you press inward on your paper so the paper doesn't bubble out. And you're going to do that with both sides. So for on the right side flap, we're going to put a little bit of a strip here. So I cut out a strip that matches the front cover and just punch the edge. So we're going to attach this first, and then we're going to attach our latch. So I'm just going to attach this flush to the edge. I'm going to want the I don't have enough space to move this back, so it's going to be a little crooked. I'm going to need to measure the center to attach my piece. So you have two pieces to the latch. You have the piece that you're putting the latch on, and then the front piece. So this will go over and attach. So we need this placement first. I'm going to take my pencil and trace the circles where the brads go. I'm going to want the piece flush. So I'm just tracing. And then I'm going to take my pokey tool and do not poke yourself. But you are going through a couple layers of paper and chipboard. So we're placing our brads. And I'm just pressing them a little bit flatter. So then you have it at the edge of your chipboard piece. So you line up your chipboard covers Alright, a good thing with these pieces is the brads do give you a little bit of wiggle room. So if you're not perfect, you can wiggle it a little bit for your piece to fit. Alright, again I'm just going to move this a little bit to make sure it's flush with the edge, and then turn my brad so my brad legs are parallel to the chipboard. There we go. Now we have our closure. Now we can work on the inside. Before we attach the inside cover, we need to prep it. So first we want to go ahead and tape down our brads. Alright, before we attach our inside cover, we need to prep our chipboard. So we want to add tape to the spine piece on the inside and then flush out to the outside on the opposite edge. So we want those flush to the edges so your paper doesn't bubble up. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to start short and stop short. So you want about a 1/2 inch. Starting and stopping short 1/2 inch. The reason for that is because you're going to add tape to your mat. So your mat will cover the outside edge. So I meant to hold off on putting a piece of tape on the inside pieces because I am matting this a little different. So matting it so there's one piece in the middle, which is a cream piece. And then I'm going to take my two outside pieces and attach them. One, this is longer than 12 inches, so it needs to be different sheets, and I just like how this is cohesive. The back wall, the back right here is going to have a page right on top of it, so it's not going to it's going to get covered up with the waterfall page. So we're going to attach this first, and then I'll add another piece of tape on top of that. I'm going to center this and have about a 1/8 inch border at the top and bottom. I'm going to move this a little off screen so I can see to make sure I'm even at the top and bottom. I still have my tape there, so instead of retaping, I'm just going to add this piece back there just for a minute. And then I'm going to add a little piece of tape to our inside brads. Now with your cover sheets, I'm checking to see where I don't want to overlap tape too much. So what I'm going to do is do a 3/8 inch on the chipboard. And do a 1/4 of an inch on the edge. Yeah, and then the rest I can just do my 3/8 inch tape. So that one's ready to attach on the front, and then the back piece. Oh. I'll go ahead and put my 3/8 inch tape on all 3 sides. All 4 sides. 4 sides to piece paper. And before I attach, I'm going to go ahead and add ink to the edge. And I'm using Tim Holtz oxidized vintage photo ink. So I'm going to ink those before I attach them. So we're going to attach one side at a time. Might be a little hard because this is won't lay flat, but we will do our best. So this piece is going to get attached with 1/8 inch border all the way around, and make sure it's lined up with the cream colored sheet that we've already attached. Oh, I'm going to add a little ink to my corners first. This is the same 1/8 inch border, and line it up the best you can with the creamed colored piece. Perfect. Now we're going to find our crease and hold our paper. Make sure it doesn't bubble when you're folding it. Make sure the paper goes in the crease and not out. And do it slowly, gently. There we go. I'm going to give it a good rub where the brads are, because I want to make sure that is definitely attached. Right. Time for the pages. So the next we have is our pages. So we have two identical pages, one for the right side and one for the left side, and they're going to be mirrored images. So I already made my right side one, and we're going to go ahead and record the left side one. So the only thing you need to know that's different is our main page tab will be on the opposite side. So this side is going to attach to this one, and then our other one is going to have the tab to the left. And that's, everything else is the same except for the tab side. So let me move the page. So I cut out already our main page and our two pieces for our pocket for our waterfall page. So the waterfall, let me bring this back. I have this piece from the start to the bottom is one piece. And then I have the second piece, which starts from here, goes down, and then comes back up to this side. So we have 3 pockets. So I have a pocket here, pocket in the middle, and then a pocket at the top. So our first piece is going to just have a tab to the left. Then we have our shortest piece is actually our longest pocket. So we're going to score that. The directions for scoring is in the tutorial. And pretty much we're just adding 3 tabs to it for our pocket. So we have a tab on this side, a tab on this side, and a tab at the bottom. That's for our largest pocket. So then our largest piece is actually two pockets. So we're going to make our tabs. And then we're going to have 1 score in the middle. So starting with our first piece, we're going to fold on our tab. We're going to taper the corners, which is cutting at an angle to the score line. So you'll take from the score line and you trim to an angle. So you don't want to pass the score line, that goes into the page. But what you're cutting is just the corner off of your tab. Then we're going to add tape. And this is our base for our page. And I might have to take a couple of breaks to drink something. I'm a little under the weather and have some coughs going on. So our second piece, we have 3 tabs. So we're going to fold on the score lines. So for the top 2, we're going to go ahead and taper those corners. And for the bottom, it's going to be the same. You're going to taper just as this piece wasn't there. So you're going to cut it at an angle, or you can just do one cut. As long as you don't go over the score line and into this piece right here, you'll be fine. Okay. Then those 3 tabs get tape. It's a little hard to see because I'm using cream color paper. So here's our pocket piece. So that'll get folded, and then attached. But before we attach it, we're going to attach our first pocket piece. So this guy has tab on this side, and then 1 score line. So we're going to go ahead and fold on the tabs. I'm not going to crease it yet because 2 tabs are going to go different directions. So first, let's go ahead and taper our 4 corners. Then we have this score line. It's not in the middle, but it is not creating a tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the score line. It's a little hard to see. Let me see if I can get that to zoom in. You can kind of catch the score. The line is here, and this is our tab. So we're going to cut a V shape. So we're going to cut it at an angle up to that score line. We're going to cut this up to an angle to the score line. And now we have a V. So we're going to do it on the other side. So what that does is gives us 4 tabs to work with. So we have 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. And the reason we did that is because these 2 are going to fold. The top 2 are going to fold underneath. The bottom 2 are going to fold inwards. So first we're going to put our tape on the outside of the top 2. So do that first. So again, those are going to go underneath. So for the bottom 2, I'm going to go ahead and fold inwards, and then we're going to tape those. So this gets taped on the opposite side of the first 2 pieces. And then we're going to fold on that score line to create our pocket. So remove the tape. And fold. So that's one pocket right there. I'm going to take this guy, and before we attach, we need to put a piece of tape at the bottom. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch tape, and I'm going to come out. I don't need the tabs to stick to the tape, so I'm going to fold the tab in, and then add my tape so I know it's not going to touch. So you're going to be short about 1/2 inch on both sides. We don't need to tape those tabs down. So I'm going to just run so when we attach it, we're going to go flush to the bottom score line. So if you want to fold the tab in so you can see it, you can do that. And it's going to be inside the score lines. So when you attach, we'll have our pockets. So again, we're attaching our pockets piece to the bottom right above that score line. We don't want to go over it. We're going to go inside the side score lines. Now we have 2 pockets. So then we'll take our main page and attach. Centered, okay? I'm just taking off the tape. So it's going to get centered. It's roughly about 1/8 to 1/4 in between. And now we have our 3 pockets. Next are our tags and 2 flaps. So here's our tags I have as craft colors, and then 2 flaps. So score those pieces. So for our smallest pieces, these are just our flaps. I'm going to fold on the score line, taper the corners, and add our tape. Then on our tag, we're just going to fold on the score line. And I'm going to use my 1/2 inch corner rounder crocodile. We are memory keepers. I'm just going to round the corners on just the flat parts of the waterfall, but you can do the bottom of the tag as well. So we're going to attach our flaps first. So we're going to want them centered. I'm going to go upside down just so I can get a better angle. And it's going to be an inch. An inch from the top of the pocket line down, and then we're going to center our flap to attach it. So there's the first one. I like the Tim Holtz ruler because it has a center mark on it. But if you don't have that, it's just 1/4 of an inch on both sides. So now that we have our flaps, we can put our pockets and our tags in our pockets. And there we go. So now we need our closure strip, which I did not cut out a piece. So let me do that real quick. So I cut out my strip, scoring it, fold on the score line, taper the corners, add my tape, around my corners. Then we're going to attach it in the center on the bottom of the pocket. Need to grab a couple of magnets. We're going to attach our magnet to so I'm going to add some tape, just adding a little piece of tape to my magnet. And then I'm going to put roughly about a 1/2 inch from the sides and the top. My second magnet will attach to the first magnet. I'm going to get some adhesive from my ATG, put it on the top side of the magnet. So when I fold it over, after lining up my page to make sure it fits, it'll be in the right spot. And then I'll go ahead and add some tape to secure it. There we go. Add some tape to the first piece. And now we have our front waterfall page. Time to move on. Our back side are 3 pockets and 3 tags. So how this one's going to go, it's going to go a little different. It's going to be mirrored image. So this pocket attaches to the right side. The first pocket will attach to the left side. So it'll just be mirrored image. So for these, I have 3 pocket pieces and 3 tags. So this guy has 2 tabs and then an additional score. I'm going to get my cutting mat out. So for this guy we have, it's a little hard to see because it's white. So we have a tab along this side and a tab along this side and then a score line here. So we're going to cut out 1 inch off of this corner. So we take this score line, go down 1 inch and cut it off. So I'm going to turn this around so I can use my ruler. So when I turned it around, I have a tab at the top, tab at the right side, and then a score line. So I'm going to go use my ruler. I'm going to go 1 inch over, and I'm cutting to the score line. Without cutting my craft paper. So let me try that again. And mark it to 1 inch. And then my shadows are in the way, so I'm just gonna play it by ear, but you can use your ruler. So I cut my 1 inch off the piece. So when you're done, it's going to go this way. So your top part's at the top. This is cut off. You have a tab to the right and a tab at the bottom. So we're going to fold on our side tab. Wrong direction. We're going to fold it inwards. And I'm going to taper this corner. And we're going to do another V-cut in the middle. So we have our score line here for our tab, and then there's one there. So again, we want to cut a V shape up to the score line without going over. Then I'm going to do my corner taper and then taper on this corner. So the 2 tabs on the right side get folded in. And the tab on the left gets folded to the opposite side. So we're going to go ahead and add our tape. So we have tape on the two insides on the two right tabs, and the left tab goes to the tape on the opposite. So this guy is going to create a pocket by folding on that score line. We're going to go ahead and remove our tape and create our pocket. So that pocket's just going to go above that score line on the bottom. Voila! And there's our pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and do another one. Alright, so I'm going to cut off my inch. Nope, I had that right to begin with. So I have tab to the top, tab to the right, and then, oh, tab to the top, tab to the right, and then a score line in the, not quite the center. I'm going to cut an inch off. Alright. And we're going to cut our V shape at our score lines at the bottom. I'm going to taper our corners. The left tab gets folded underneath. Then our other two tabs get folded inwards. And before I attach anything, I always like to make sure what it looks like, so I'm going to fold it over first. Looks good. Alright, that's two pockets, and then I'm going to make one more. So when all three pockets are completed, we're going to attach to the back side of the album. So we'll have two pockets that are on the right side, about 1/8 of an inch from the top and bottom. And then the last pocket is in the middle on the opposite side. I'm just going to turn this so I can see it a little bit better. Make sure that these two are in the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and just eyeball attaching it. So we're about 1/8 of an inch from the top, flush to the side. And then centered on this side. When we're attaching this one, make sure it's above the score line. You don't want it on the score line, or your page won't fold. Okay. And then we need our strip, which I've already cut out. It's a little bit shorter than the one on the other side. I'm just putting that in the center between this pocket and then the edge. And then we need our magnets. So we add our piece of tape. And then place our magnet on the other side. Get a little ATG adhesive. And then fold it over for perfect placement. And we'll add our piece of tape to secure it. Okay. Now we have our pages. Perfect. Then we just need to mat them, and then we'll work on the back page, which is just a waterfall page without the base. Alright, now that we've finished with our waterfall page, the back wall is also waterfall. So the only difference is it doesn't have the base page with the tab, and I reverse the colors. So this one is cream color for the pockets. I made the one for the back wall craft. So I already made the pocket. We're going to go ahead and attach it. I'm going to attach it about 3/8 inch from the bottom. So what I was doing with that is making sure when this page is attached, you don't see it hanging from the bottom or the top. So 3/8 in from the bottom, even a 1/2 inch in will work. So we're just going to go ahead and attach this piece to our back. And I'm just eyeballing it just to Alright, this is made exactly the same way as the other piece. So I already have my flaps, which is going to get attached. I'm going to turn this upside down so I can see it better. These are going to get attached 1 inch from from the top of the pocket. So the measurement for this pocket is the exact same thing for the pages. And I don't have a closure for this one. I know it's poofing up, but once we get our mats on there, and our pages is what's going to keep it down. So it doesn't need this closure, but you can, of course, put one on there if you want. All right, now let's get to matting our page. All right, for matting, I got most of it prepped. So what we're going to do is we have the mats for the flaps and then one for under the flap. So for the flaps, we need to punch the bottom two corners with one half-inch corner rounder. So we're going to do that with all of our pieces. And then I inked the edges on all of these with the Oxide Vintage Photo. I'm just going to go do my corners real quick. And then for the back side of the flaps, well, for the last sheet, I did not corner around those, but you can. For the back side, I have solid color cardstock, but if you're doing patterns, make sure you punch the top two corners. Alright, I'm going to ink those, and then I have our mat for our strip, so that's going to get punched on the top. Then we have these little strips, and these are to cover the tabs. So I know not all of them have tabs, but I do want it to look cohesive. So we got the strip there and then a strip there. So we're going to punch the bottoms. You don't have to, but I'm going to with the my scallop punch. So I'll do one on camera and the rest I'll do off camera and then come back and ink. This might shake my camera. So I have that punched edge that I'll ink. Alright, so I'll finish punching those and inking my paper. Alright, I have all my pieces inked and ready to go. So we'll start with our strip. And I added tape to my strip, but the rest I'll use my ATG to make the process just a little bit more faster. So this guy's going to get attached. I'm going to turn it about a 1/8 inch border. Now the rest of the mats are going to get attached the same way in the center with about a 1/8 inch border all the way around. Now this guy's going to get our strip attached. So one, I need to make sure that my tag's in the right place. Lined up. I'm going to attach it straight flush to the top. If I can see it. There we go. And the next one is going to get attached, because this is a flap, it's going to get attached right underneath the score line of the flap. I'm trying to attach my mat to my table. Got a little tape on my table. Oh, I'm going to attach my strip. Make sure my tag is lined up. want to wrinkle my paper. Make sure my tag's in the right spot. And I forgot my strip. Alright. And then I need to mat the back side. I'm getting these a little crooked. Alright, I'm going to finish that up. Alright, so I matted all of my backs. And then we can move on to the back side of the page. So we have our flap first, or our strap. I'm going to make sure this gets stuck down because that's where the magnet is and you don't want that paper to come up. Alright. So we have our strips for behind the pocket and then our mats. I'm going to turn my page because because this piece is a little bit longer, it kind of tucks into the pocket. So we want to make sure it's straight. These are attached the same way with the 1/8 inch border all the way around, centered on the page. So that's one pocket, and then we have a tag, which I rounded the corners on the tag. And then on this side, back side gets a large mat. And then we have this big open area. I'm going to put this guy on. Alright, and there we go. I'm going to mat the rest of the pockets off camera. Alright, I'm done matting the pages and added my tags. There we go. So what's left is adding some mats to the tags and attaching our pages and doing our front cover. Inside cover. So this waterfall page is identical matting to the page that we just did. So all those measurements are the exact same. Alright. Alright, next we have our mats for our tags. So we're going to pull out all our tags. So I have full size tags for the small and medium, and then 2 tags for the large one. So with those, we're going to go ahead and round the corners of all these tags, mats. So with the smallest one, now with the medium one, I do have one large mat, but what you can do, cut this out wrong. This is not the right tag. What you can do is cut out one mat for a picture and then a second one on the bottom for some journaling. Or you can just do a cream colored one and then you can write on it. Now for the large one, I have 2 mats, and they're about 1/4 of an inch between each one, top, middle, and bottom. You, of course, can do one full mat if you want. Do 2 single mats, do a large mat and a small mat for journaling. Alright, that page is done. Alright, so I decided to put a strap on my back waterfall page. Just to get that taken down some. So next we're going to work on the inside cover. We're going to do another waterfall. It's just going to be smaller. So this is how the piece is going to look like. So we're going to work on that. So I already cut out all my pieces. I need to score them and prep them. That's one. So these are just going to get a tab put on. So we'll fold on the score line, taper the corners, add our tape, and then punch our bottom 2 corners. With the 1/2 inch corner rounder. So we'll do that with all 5 pieces. Alright, now that all the pieces are scored and taped and punched, I'm going to go ahead and mat them first before I attach them to the album. So the mats that I chose is from a cutout page. So I cut out these cards for the front, and for the back I just have regular mats. So I'll just do one and then do the rest off camera. With the cards, the cutout pieces, they're going to be about 1/4 border all the way around, and then the mats are just going to be the regular 1/8 inch border. Alright, so I'm going to work on the rest of those. Alright, now that I have them all matted, I'm going to attach to the inside cover. Alright, do-over. I rearranged and started from the bottom. Going from the bottom up is a lot easier. So you're just going to measure from the bottom of the last tab 1 inch up, and then you can use the tag as a guide for the left and right spots. Alright, that's a lot more better than going from the other direction. So again, 1 inch up, use your tag from left and right to make sure it's even. There we go. A lot better and more even. So then I can put my little strips on and cover my tabs. And of course with my strap piece, I wasn't supposed to cover the top without the magnet. So I'm going to see if I can wiggle my way through that. Make sure that you don't do that. Make sure you attach your magnet first before matting. Okay. I need a strip. Alright, next is this strip, which I've already cut out. It's the same size as the waterfall strips. So measuring to attach, I use my Tim Holtz ruler. And then sliding this one in, folding it over. I'm looking between the lines to see where it goes. And then attaching. I will have the directions from here to here to attach it. So that's that. And then I got, cut me a little strip and punched it. So I'm going to add that to this piece. And then do the magnet. Alright, because I've already matted this, I'm going to do this a little bit backwards. So if it happens to you, you can do it this way as well. So what I'm going to do is attach it to the front side, even though this is already matted, and hopefully find a sticker or a cutout piece I can punch something and cover it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 3/4 inch down and in the center and attach my magnet. And then this should be a good placement. There we go. My scissors. So then I'm just going to add my tape. And again, I'll look for a piece of sticker or something to cover that. But I got my magnet done. And then I have my strip. Okay, there, and that finishes the inside cover. Next we are going to attach our pages. So we have our page that goes on the left side and then our page that goes on the right side. They get placed in different spots so it sits better. So our left page, I've marked, it's going to be 1/4 of an inch from the top and bottom, and then it's going to go from the fold. So from the fold in is going to be 1/2 inch. So I've already marked it, and I'm turning it so I can see better. So we're going to line it up. And then fold it down. So I did not remove the tape yet. I was just checking the placement. I always check the placement first. So again, I marked over. So if you fold the page and then measure 1/2 inch over and 1/4 inch up, I just put a little pencil mark on both sides, and that's where I'm going to put my corners. And I'm hoping the middle doesn't catch on the paper before I'm able to attach. So I'm just lining it up. Looks good. Then I'm going to do this side. It's going to be from the inside fold and measuring up, and I measured 5/8 inch up and then 1/4 in from both sides. Am I in the... Okay, hopefully we'll still be in the camera. All right, so I'm going to, am I still in? Okay, from our mark, make sure that looks good. Okay. Looks good. So next we have to cover our tabs. So I'm gonna press down on our tabs first, get a good stick. So because I have more room on this side, I made the normal 3/4 inch piece and then punched the side, punched one edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach it. Because this one is too close, what I did is I still did a punched edge, but had a backing piece. So this is only 1/2 inch thick. It's not 3/4 inch. And it's just so I can cover the tab. So we're going to attach our strip. Okay, there we go. Alright, so what's left is just to decorate this, which is the same as the front two. And then I'll decorate. Alright, I finished decorating my album and matting all my pages. So I'm going to go through with all the mats that I did. So the front cover has the embellishment pack, the ephemera pack, and the stickers. And then the word create, I used Thinlit Tim Holtz die. This is called alphanumeric script. So I use that to put create on the album. So the front little waterfall here. And this is just a regular waterfall. It's not a waterfall pocket page. So I finished adding my little stickers and embellishments to all the flaps. When I attached it, I left it open so you can slide a picture behind it. So I have the stickers here and here. And then I left this open. And then the excuse me. And then the last piece here says love. And there we go. That's the entire album. All done. So there's kits on my blog, the tutorial as well, www.webofcreativity.net, and all the descriptions and links are below. All right, thank you for watching.